Welcome back, World of Warcraft fans, to another episode of Casual Encounters. This is episode 13.1. My name is Tim. This is my World of Warcraft show. The show where I discuss just about anything of interest. Anything that I feel is cool or not cool, what we should do to change things, how I hope things go, how I hope they don't go, and it's pretty much all on the bias of a casual type of player. We got a ton of news last week from the alpha patch notes. There's really a lot of class changes and removal of abilities and changes in abilities, and the way that roles are going to be handled, where tanks are going to be more tanky and heals are going to be more healy and DPS will be more DPSy. Because from what we probably experienced, what you've all probably experienced and missed at least, is that it's been pretty blurred lines. DPS have been throwing all kinds of extra heals and using their raid buffs to help healers, and healers have been throwing up things, and tanks have been throwing up things to help people DPS at certain times, stuff like that. So I think they're gonna try. Anyway, it's all mechanical stuff. It's all fun and interesting to learn about. Good to know. Specifics, it's really going to be hard to decipher all this stuff until you're actually playing it and see how it feels. If they did the encounters properly to manage all that. It's a lot of it's going to be interesting, and it's a change. Everyone's we're all going to have to learn, adapt, and just as we have pretty much through every patch, or every expansion, I should say. And a lot of the stuff looks good. Like I said, it's really difficult to really pinpoint good and bad until we actually see it. But I guess time will tell. Hopefully we'll get some good people who do alphas or betas or whatever. Hopefully they'll be able to give some good reviews and see how they feel about all that. So after everything, I looking at all the stuff that they put out, I put out a few videos the last couple of weeks with the things I found, I guess, the most interesting, the most newsworthy. I didn't talk a ton about Garrisons, and there's actually been since then, and since I actually talked about Garrisons a while back when we first heard about them, there's been a lot of new stuff that comes out and a lot of news about it. So I figure I'd sort of maybe just hit that a little bit, talk about Garrisons, where they're at, what we see, what we know, and maybe talk a little about how they're going to work. So what I see, there's a lot of information on here. I'm not going to get too much into specifics, but there's the Garrisons are going to have a lot of specializations. Things to show your mounts, mount traders, portals, recruiter. There's all kinds of crazy stuff that your Garrison. And I'm not sure, like with these specializations, I guess it's going to depend on the buildings you have, and there's a lot. There's a real lot of buildings, and from what I could tell, it looks like you're going to have 4 small plots, 3 medium plots, and 3 large plots. I guess once it's all done, obviously you'll probably just start with 2 small ones, maybe whatever. A medium and a large, and then as your garrison levels up, you'll get more plots and stuff, and you'll be able to add. I guess the really interesting thing, and that you know, it's going to be deciding what you need, what's going to be the best way to go. And I guess it's going to be, until it actually happens, or until we get, again, like I'm saying, until someone goes into the beta and really plays with this stuff, it's going to be hard to say. It's going to be hard to, you know, what exactly. I mean, should we be taking buildings that, you know, kind of help our own profession? Should we be taking buildings for professions we don't have, so that we can, you know, do those other professions on our own characters? I don't know. Maybe it is going to be like a choice. Maybe if you choose, you know, buildings. Let's say you're, I don't know, a jewel crafter or something, and you know, you choose. Let's see, what building? What building would that be? The gem boutique, right? So if you like gems, you know, maybe this will help you. If you're a jewel crafter, maybe this will help you get more mats that you need for your particular, you know, to do more gems, whatever. But then again, maybe you'd rather have an herb garden along with a alchemy lab, and you know, maybe you'll be able to do all the, you know, you'll be able to do alchemy. Let's say if you don't have that on your particular character. Now I don't know to what extent, you know, how far, if you're going to be able to get everything that an alchemist has. You know, I don't know. It hasn't been made too clear. I think I heard that you won't be able to do quite as much. Like, you won't be able to get all the top level stuff. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, it's interesting, and there's a ton of stuff in here. Obviously, they have all the alchemy, you know, stuff for alchemy, all the major professions. But then they have some other stuff that I think is going to be some interesting choices as well. Like, you have barracks. So barracks, for example, the bigger your barracks, the more followers you'll be able to hold. So that's going to be like probably a really important one. An armament, an armory. You'll have an armory, so the armory is going to store and maintain armaments used by the garrison's inhabitants. This could be really interesting because it's apparently, you know, your garrison's going to be able to be attacked. Now they haven't been too clear on, you know, how, like, what effect this will have if, you know, if you lose, you know, if you don't defend it well, or if your people don't defend it well, what's going to happen? I have no idea. Will you lose stuff? And what if you win? Will you gain stuff? I don't know. It's interesting, but if it's there and you need to defend your garrison, or your inhabitants need to defend it at least, that might be an interesting one to choose from too. What else do they have? They have an inn. I think the inn is going to be one of those things that sort of you start with. So it's, and I guess the bigger your inn is, the more people will kind of come in. You'll be able to, you know, get followers that way. You know, you'll be able to, you know, have a kitchen, and, you know, access to cooking stuff. So yeah, that's going to be kind of an interesting one too. There's another one. It's called the Mage Tower, and the Mage Tower's arcane researchers search across Draenor for useful magic for your garrison. So this, I guess, it gives you access to missions, more missions. I don't know. It's interesting. You have a salvage yard, which you could turn other people's trash into treasure. You know, maybe make gold or materials for your stuff. Stables, I could give you. If you have stables, it's going to reduce mission times. Stuff like that. It'll help you travel, apparently, across Draenor. You know, it's interesting stuff. Then, of course, there's a storehouse, which will actually allow you to store more stuff. What I mean by that is, it means, because for every, you know, profession thing, like building, you're gonna have like this, depending on the level of the building, you're gonna be able to create, obviously, a certain amount of stuff, whatever it is, you know. and the higher level, the more, let's say, the bigger it is, the less you actually have to go back and collect. So, I think at level 3, which I believe is the highest level of each building, you'll be able to like have, I think it's like four days worth of stuff, right? And it'll hold, and that's all you're gonna do. But if you have a storehouse, you'll actually be able to have hold more. So, and like it says the storehouse, once you're on the 3rd level, you'll be able to increase your storage of daily batches or shipments on every other garrison by 3. So I think that'd be a pretty good one. It means you can actually go just check it. You'll be able to go check your stuff. If all your buildings are like, let's say, once you're maxed out, I guess, if your stuff is at level 3 and all your buildings are at level 3, then basically you can just go check this stuff once a week, which is I'd say pretty significant. Like, it's not going to be one of these daily things. Now, I don't know how long it's going to take to actually get all this done. The good news is that you'll actually be able to start basically right away. So after the initial whatever invasion that we do on Draenor, I guess I think it's Thrall's dad or something, gives you a plot of land or something like that, or maybe that's only for the Horde. I don't know. Maybe the Alliance is somebody else. But whatever. So you finish this. You get through this initial quest thing at the beginning of Warlords of Draenor, and then you immediately get this plot of land that you can start working on your garrison, and you're gonna build it up while you're leveling, which is really cool because hopefully that'll help you get experience. You can actually level your character while leveling your garrison, which is actually really, really cool. And on top of that, the quests, the regular quests that you do, the main storylines, they're going to be like, those are going to be like your quest, like the way that it works now, right? You go and you pick up a quest from somebody, blah, blah, blah. That's sort of like the main, you'll be able to sort of follow the main storyline that way. And all those sort of, those off ones that you're like, oh, you're not sure if you should do or not because it's not really part of the main storyline. It's not going to get you to the end. Well, those are just going to like pop up. Like, you're not going to actually have to pick these quests up. Basically, it's going to pop. You're basically going to get an objective. I guess kind of like when you're in a scenario, you're going to get like this objective that sort of pops up, and maybe go kill 10 of those things or whatever. I don't know, but then you can just watch. Whoa, you're in the area, and this objective comes up, and you can do it. I think that's really, really cool. And I don't know if you have to go hand that in after, but either way, it's pretty cool. But also at the same time, you'll know that it's not really a mandatory. Well, it's not part of the main storyline. So I'm really, really hoping that, if you do like all of your garrison stuff and like then all your main storyline, maybe you just have to like, walk around a little bit and do a couple little extra quests or something to get you to the next zone and not have to worry about all these things and not have to worry about, oh, did I miss the main storyline? Because your actual quest lines are actually going to have those storylines. So that's really cool. I think that's really, really cool. Now, they did say in an interview that, when you do reach level 100, your garrison's not going to be finished. So, I hope it's not going to be too like grindy to finish it up. That'd be kind of crappy, sort of like that daily quest stuff, and nobody likes that stuff. It's really just feels like a time sink. So hopefully it won't be too much left, and hopefully be interesting, and hopefully it's not going to be too complicated in the sense of choosing if if there's a good way or a bad way. Hopefully just whatever decisions you make hopefully the decisions you make will just give you pros and cons either way, and not well, this is the best way to do it, because then what's going to happen is, of course, you're going to choose a bunch of stuff, and then what's going to happen is you're going to finish it up, and then you're going to find out that, oh, damn, I should have made this building instead of that building. And then, well, and the good thing is, like professions, of course, you can, scrap it and start over, but nobody wants to do that, right? That's like, ugh. So, And they did, you know, somebody mentioned something about, you know, having to go back and dailies and blah, 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 blah. And they did, you know, they kind of said something about the farm, you know, is that okay to go back and check, you know, get your farm stuff? So I guess, you know, I did sort of enjoy, like, the road to getting the farm. I didn't really go back every day and actually use it that much after. I just, whatever. I'm not a huge profession guy, you know, whatever. I just didn't, I don't know. I just really didn't have the oomph to go back. Another good question is going to be is how, or if at all, these garrisons are going to be for you know, raiding. Let's say, like, is this going to be sort of one of those mandatory things? You know, maybe it's not mandatory. Nothing is really. There's not a ton of mandatory stuff, but there's things that people feel are mandatory, like professions, right? They're not really mandatory. You don't have to do a profession, but right now, you know, since the beginning until now, you know, if you didn't do your main professions, you were missing out on a pretty decent raid buff, right? You know, if you have herbalism, I think it was you got a special haste thing. You know, if you're an engineer, you got your extra gems or whatever. Blacksmithing, I think, was kind of the same thing. There was always something. So regardless, there was always some advantage to actually improving your character itself by having professions. So although professions may not be mandatory, they were, to a lot of people, considered mandatory, because if you didn't have it, then that means you were less powerful and therefore you are fail, right? Depending on, you know, which circles you go with, but everybody wants to improve their character. So, but again, this is like a double-edged sword, right? If the garrisons have something like this, everyone's going to complain because, oh, I got to do this whole garrison thing so that I can, because it's mandatory, because it gives me more power in my raid. But then again, if it isn't mandatory, why are people going to do it? Are people really going to be that into it? It's weird to say, but I don't know how much. Like, once I'm done, like I'll do it because it's interesting. I like to build stuff. I you know, I like to complete things, whatever. Once I get to the end, though, like, I don't know, going back, you know, all that, whatever you have to do. Obviously, you're gonna have to go do stuff and, I guess, hand stuff into people, your followers, whatever. Send them on missions. See, that's going to be one of the interesting things, because apparently there are missions you'll be able to send. You'll be able to send, like, your followers on, you know, dungeons and raids and stuff to. There's a cat making noise around here. Anyway, you'll be able to send, you know, your followers on missions and stuff, maybe dungeons and raids, and it's gonna be, you'll be able to get, like, gear and stuff from it. Now, apparently, you'll be able to use that gear to improve your own characters, or maybe yourself. So if this is like depending on the gear, now if it's only a gear that's going to be good, maybe just to get you through the beginning stuff, then, you know, will you be able to even get it quick enough for it to be useful? And if it is good for later stuff, you know, like for, you know, the whatever at the moment is considered end game content, then it might be considered a mandatory thing, because it's another way to get gear and get going quicker, right? To get your gear faster. Again, double-edged sword. If that is the case, and, you know, you do need to do it, then people will do it, but people will complain that they have to. And then if it isn't, if you don't need to do it, if it truly is really just a fun, you know, are people really going to want to do this stuff? You know, is people going to want to take all this time? Now, you know, through leveling, it's going to be fine, because the way I see it is, if you're getting, like, I guess if you're getting XP and stuff, I assume if you're doing quests and whatever and stuff to help build your garrison, I like to think it's going to give you XP. And if you will be able to get things, like, just with all the other, so let's say you're doing dungeons and you're doing raids, and while you're there, you're collecting things and all that stuff that help your garrison, great. That's super. It's just a matter of, And then, sure, if you want to go and do some other stuff, like to help after, okay. But as long as you don't have to, if the only way to do it is by going out of your way to do all this extra stuff to get your garrison going, or to get it, fully, that could really be a problem for a lot of people, I guess. I hope that it's just by just doing the things you would normally do, and hold on. This is a little troublemaker. You want my little troublemaker? Who's that kitty? Who's the kitty? Is it bright? Bright light? Yeah, bright light. Alright, bye-bye. So, if it's really just, if you can get all your stuff with all the other things you do, if you go doing your dungeons and, you collect stuff, if you're doing raids and you're collecting stuff that help your garrison, that's going to be, for me, the best way to do it, because you're not going to have to do extra stuff that you aren't already doing. I really, really want this to be working by already doing the stuff you're doing. You can just, then go and, yes, you're still going to have to go to your garrison and do stuff, talk to your followers and whatever, and say, yes, build this, build that, choose this, whatever. So that's fine. Now, obviously, you have to do some work for it. It's just a matter of, I don't want to have to go out and, collect whatever material on a separate farming mission or whatever. Once I'm max leveled. Like I said, if they do it while leveling, it's not that bad. If you're gaining experience through quests and stuff, that's fine, because at least you're getting experience. That's doing something you're already doing anyway. Like I said, if you just to go to your garrison and fix it up or whatever, make the choices, that's okay. But I just don't want there to be too much extra stuff that you have to do to get this, especially if it will be mandatory. Well, you know what I mean, mandatory. So yeah, I mean that's that's pretty much my what I think about all that stuff. It's definitely, I mean, I'm definitely gonna be into it. I mean, something new. It's something I love. New stuff. It's fun. Like I said, with the farm, the whole sort of storyline. I mean, it did get a little bit repetitive at times, but some of those dailies were a bit long. And one of the problems with the farm, of course, was that it pretty much only started at level 89 or something. So you could only really, and even then you couldn't. You're very limited to what you could do at level 89. Pretty much, really only started at 90. So you had a lot of there was a lot of daily stuff. I mean, and then you throw on the other dailies, of course, the horrible freaking Golden Lotus crap that we all had to do. Yeah, throw that on top, and it's like, oh my god, no, don't. I like the idea of doing things you're already doing and having those extra things drop, or you can collect. Like, apparently while you're in a dungeon or a raid or something, you'll actually see people. You'll actually be able to recruit people while you're there. You can recruit followers while you're there, that's pretty cool. Like, you're doing a raid. You're doing it. You can recruit somebody. That's kind of neat. I think that's all right. That's a cool thing. Look, as long as they keep it fun and cool and don't do. Look. I know it's an MMO. You are absolutely bound to do some repeat content. There's bound to be some kind of repeatable type quests that you're gonna have to do. Just hopefully not too much, and limited. You know what I mean? And hopefully that most of the stuff you could do is just stuff you're going to be doing anyway. Was there any other interesting things? Trading posts. The trading post is the garrison center of commerce with the natives of Draenor. Opens trading routes, so that's going to be something interesting. I don't really know what that all means. What the trading routes are, but I mean, Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff. Now, I mentioned, you know, all these interesting ones. Lumber mill. You can have a lumber mill or prime material to assist in building and upgrading your garrison. What happens if you don't make a lumber mill? Does that mean you have to go and collect the stuff somewhere else? So all these choices are going to be very interesting. And like I said, I really hope that it's all pro and con regardless. And no matter what you have in there at the end, it's not going to be better or worse than any other choices you've made. So if you choose something that helps your own profession, then maybe that'll just make your profession that much better. If you decide not to do something that's your own profession, then it gives you something else. But I just hope there isn't like an imbalance of, you know, oh, this is the wrong, I built all the wrong buildings, or somebody else built all the right buildings, because I just really want to see a really good balance of, no matter what buildings anybody puts in, there's going to be gains and losses equally regardless of which ones you decided to take or not take. I think that would be, I hope that they really get that balance good so that nobody feels like they have to go and, you know, tear down a building and, you know, start from scratch again, because I think that's not fun. Nobody wants to do that. So yeah, anyways, let's hope that you know, like I said, what we've seen so far, that's, you know, kind of what we know about it. And it all sounds very interesting, very cool. What else? Anything other interesting thought notes on that? What did I see? I saw a sparring arena. That's something. There's no description of it, but there's a sparring arena. She stepped on my keyboard. You could have messed me up my whole video. So anyway, yeah, looks really cool. Let's see what it brings. Let's hope the beta, or let's say we get more information from the alpha. You know, how you know, how it's going to affect us, how the end result of this is going to affect us while raiding. You know, how it's going to affect our character, our personal character. Is it just going to be some little meta game or whatever you want to call it? You know, some side thing like battle pets are, in a way. You know, it's something that's fun to do, but has nothing really to do with, you know, your personal character. And it's really truly going to be, you know, not mandatory. We'll see. We can only see. Hopefully, you know, maybe it'll be, you know, something that's just sort of really helpful for your professions. And if that's the case, then the professions better be worth something. Because right now, professions aren't going to be worth anything extra while raiding. So let's hope that you will be able to, you know, once you get sort of past that, those initial whatever, you're gonna be, it's gonna be worth something. Like, it's gonna be worth doing. You know, is it gonna be worth doing? Will you be able to make money off of it? Are you going, you know, enchanters and jewel crafters, are they going to be able to make money if there's going to be less gems and less enchants on stuff? You know, whatever. Just, it's got to be worth it. Somehow it's got to be worth it. Maybe there's going to be people who love this stuff, and, you know, just, you know, because there are people who are out there who just love profession stuff, like to find ways to make gold and all that stuff, and that's their game, man. Some people are, that's their game. And other people who just do the stuff because they need to have that to improve their character. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens. And I hopefully they'll get it all balanced and get it right. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment. Hit a like if you like this video. Please subscribe. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you should see a little guy up here or somewhere that you can click on. If you don't see him, find the subscribe button on my channel and on the Wow on My Mind channel. Wow on My Mind, that's my channel. Hit the subscribe button so you know when I got more stuff coming. Really appreciate it. And have fun playing World of Warcraft, guys. Take care.